After my sister-in-law ripped my daughter's birth certificate in half and said, "She doesn't carry your name," my husband let the silence cover the room. I gathered the torn pieces into a box. Years later, when they opened a letter from me, the first line written across the top made their hands. I, 34 female, haven't talked about this in years. I don't even know where to start because it still makes me sick when I think about it. But I've reached the point where I need to get it out. I met my husband Adam, 38 male, when I was 24. We got married fast, within a year. Looking back, I think I was just desperate for some kind of stability. I didn't come from much. My dad left when I was little, and my mom did what she could. Adam came from what people would call a good family. Big house, holidays with matching sweaters, all that. His sister Caroline, 36 female, didn't like me from the first day we met. She smiled a lot. That fake, tight-lipped smile women do when they've already made up their minds about you. She always had comments, little jabs that were easy to brush off at first. She asked if I'd finished college. I hadn't. If I was working on myself, if I had ever traveled outside the country like it was a job interview. I thought maybe she was just protective of Adam, but it never stopped. Even after we got married, she acted like I didn't belong. When I got pregnant, it got worse. She told Adam in front of me that she hoped I knew what I was doing because I seemed overwhelmed already. She said it like she was trying to be funny. Adam just laughed. He always laughed when she said things like that. It wasn't just her. His whole family treated me like I was temporary. At every gathering, I was asked things like still not working, even though I was literally 7 months pregnant. They made jokes about my cooking, about how quiet I was, about how I wasn't like the women in their family. Then our daughter was born. I named her Maya Elise. Elise is my mom's middle name, and I gave her my last name, not Adam's. Before anyone comes for me. Yes, we discussed it beforehand. I told him that I wanted her to have my last name because I was the one carrying her, the one who would be doing most of the work, and because I wanted her to have a name tied to me, not just him. He said, "Sure, I don't care about stuff like that." That was a lie. Or maybe he meant it at the time. But when his family found out, everything changed. Caroline acted like I'd committed a crime. She made a huge scene the first time she visited after Maya was born. She kept calling her Little Bennett, and when I gently corrected her, she said, "Oh, I just assumed she'd carry the family name." Guess not. I let that go. I let a lot go. Then one day, about 2 months after Maya was born, we got her official birth certificate in the mail. I remember feeling proud, seeing her name there, printed clearly. Maya Elise, my last name, made everything real. It was proof she was mine, that I had brought her into the world. That afternoon, Adam's family came over. Caroline was digging through the stack of mail on the kitchen counter and pulled out the envelope with the certificate inside. She opened it without asking. She stared at it for maybe 3 seconds before turning to Adam. "She doesn't carry your name," she said. Loud. Then, without warning, she ripped it in half. I froze. My brain couldn't process it. I watched 2 pieces of paper fall onto the floor like it was nothing. Like it meant nothing. "She's not really one of us then," she said. "Just saying." And Adam? He just stood there. Not one word. Not, "What the hell are you doing?" Not, "Get out." Nothing. He didn't even pick up the pieces. He just looked down. The room went completely silent. I didn't say anything either. I just walked over, picked up the 2 halves, and took them to our bedroom. I put them in a small wooden box I kept in the closet. A box I had originally bought for Maya's first bracelet and hospital band. That night, I asked Adam why he didn't say anything. He shrugged. "It's not a big deal. We can order another one." I stared at him. That's when I knew I was alone in this. There's more. So much more. Caroline kept pushing. She tried to get Adam to re-register Maya under his name, just to avoid confusion later. She started showing up uninvited. She would talk to Maya like I wasn't even in the room, like I didn't exist. She once told me that women like me use babies to lock men down. When Maya turned 1, she gave her a blanket with her mother's initials embroidered on it. Not mine. Adam did nothing. Always nothing. If I got upset, I was overreacting. If I brought it up later, he'd say, "She's just being dramatic. You know how she is." Every fight ended with me feeling like I was going crazy. Eventually, I stopped talking about it. I stopped trying to make him see what was happening. I kept my head down, raised my daughter, and made plans. Quietly, slowly. I got a job, saved money, found a place. The final straw came when Adam told me one night that Maya was going to grow up confused because she doesn't have her real family's name. That was it. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just packed 2 bags, took Maya, and left. I took the torn birth certificate with me. I haven't seen or spoken to Caroline since. Adam tried to fight me for custody. That's a whole separate story. It's been 5 years. Maya is thriving, happy, loved. And just recently, I sent them a letter. Inside it, I included a brand new copy of Maya's birth certificate, one issued in our new state. Her full name, exactly as I gave it to her. At the top of the letter, in big, black letters, I wrote, "Her name never needed your approval." I'll post the rest soon. I'm not done. This part of the story was just the beginning. After I sent the letter with Maya's birth certificate, I expected silence. Or maybe a short, bitter message from Adam. What I didn't expect was what happened 2 weeks later. The letter came in a pale blue envelope with no return address. But I knew the handwriting. It was Caroline's. Inside was a folded piece of thick stationery. It smelled like her, cheap perfume and arrogance. It only had one sentence, written in that same sharp handwriting she always used on holiday cards and baby shower invites. "You've made a mistake you can't walk back from." No dear, no signature, not even Maya's name. Just that. I remember reading it 3 times. I didn't feel fear. I felt disgust. And a quiet kind of rage. The kind that makes your fingers go cold. I didn't reply. I didn't even tell Maya. I burned the letter in my kitchen sink and went on with our life. But that wasn't the end of it. A month after that, I got a call from Maya's school. They said someone claiming to be her aunt had shown up during pickup time and tried to sign her out. Caroline. She had used her old last name and brought a copy of Adam's family tree printout. Yes, an actual family tree, to prove relation. Thank God the school followed protocol. They called me. They refused to release Maya. I had to rush over and show my ID, my custody paperwork, everything. Maya was confused. I told her it was a mistake. She asked if she was in trouble. My heart broke. That night, I called Adam. First time in almost a year. I don't know what I expected. Maybe a normal conversation. Maybe an apology. But when he picked up, he said, "I heard you've been busy rewriting history." I didn't answer that. I just said, "Tell your sister to stay away from my child." He said, "She is her family." I said, "No, she's your family. Maya doesn't know her. And now she never will." Then he said something I'll never forget. His voice was calm. Like he wasn't saying something completely insane. "You're not the only one with rights, you know. You don't get to erase everyone just because you're bitter." I hung up. I blocked him again. A week later, I got a legal notice. He was filing for joint custody. After 5 years of doing nothing. After ignoring every birthday, never paying child support, not one card, not one call. Now, he wanted equal say. His lawyer claimed I had damaged the father-child bond by leaving the state and alienating the child from her paternal family. He used my silence as proof that I was hiding something, that I was unstable, that I was unwilling to co-parent. I handed that letter to my own lawyer with shaking hands. She read it, looked up, said, "We're going to fight this." But the worst part wasn't the custody threat. It was what came next. The next envelope didn't come to my house. It came to Maya. A card, bright pink, addressed in a childish scrawl. But I know Caroline's handwriting when she's pretending to be sweet. Inside was a photo of Maya as a baby, a photo I never gave them, cut into a heart shape and glued onto sparkly paper. On the back, it said, "A family should be together. Don't forget who you are." Maya asked me who sent it. I told her it was someone who used to know her when she was very little. She looked up at me and said, "I don't like it. Can we throw it away?"
We did.
But it shook me, because it meant Caroline still had photos of my daughter. Maybe copies of things she took without me knowing. I started locking everything down, got a new P.O. box, talked to the school again, changed my number. Then something even stranger happened. I got a message from someone I hadn't talked to in years, Adam's ex-girlfriend, the one before me. She said, "I know this is out of nowhere, but I think you should know you're not the first person they've done this to." I asked her what she meant. She said when she was with Adam, Caroline would show up constantly, uninvited. She'd go through her stuff. She even once shredded a letter she wrote to Adam when they were having problems because she thought it made him look weak. She told me that Adam once said, "If it's between you and my sister, I'll always choose her." That line stayed with me. It explained everything. The silence. The look on his face when the birth certificate was ripped. The way he never told Caroline to stop. She wasn't just his sister. She was his loyalty test. And he chose her. Over and over. Now he wants back in. But not because he loves Maya. Because he lost control. Because I took away the one thing they thought they owned. Her name. Her story. There's more I haven't said yet. What happened in court. What Maya started asking me after. And what I found out recently about something Caroline did while I was still living with Adam. I'm not ready to write all of it yet. But I will.
Soon.
2 months after the custody papers came, I thought things might finally settle. I had a lawyer. Maya was doing okay. I kept everything locked down: calls, addresses, social media. I stopped checking the Bennett family's Facebooks, stopped looking for signs of what they might do next. I wanted to believe they would back off once they saw I wasn't scared. I was wrong. The next twist came from inside my own blood. My mother called me one night, voice tight, like she'd been rehearsing. "I ran into Adam," she said. I hadn't told her everything. She knew I left him, knew there were problems. But I had protected her from the details, especially Caroline. My mom's health isn't great. She's on disability. She gets overwhelmed easily. I didn't want her carrying more weight than she already does. I asked where she saw him. She said he came to her apartment, knocked on her door, said he just wanted to talk. I asked what he said. She hesitated, then told me the part that made my stomach twist. He said he just wants a relationship with his daughter, that he's worried you're raising her to hate him, and that maybe you're not as stable as you used to be. My mom said she didn't believe it, that she supported me. But she also said this: "He looked really sad, honey. I don't know. Maybe you two should sit down. Just talk, for Maya's sake." That's when it hit me. Adam and Caroline weren't going to stop through legal means. They were going to come at me through other people. Use sympathy. Use guilt. Use their version of the story to poison everyone around me. Slowly. Quietly. The next person to reach out was my cousin Tara. We grew up close, but hadn't talked much since I moved. She DM'd me. "Hey, random, but Adam messaged me. Said he just wants your daughter to know both sides of her family. I thought you'd want to know." I asked if she replied. She said no. But that didn't matter. The damage was already done. They were digging into my past, into my family, into anyone they thought might get inside my head. And then, I swear I'm not making this up, I got a package. No name. No return address. Inside was a doll. Maya's first doll. The one she lost when we moved out. The one I thought had been thrown away when I left the house that night. Wrapped in tissue paper. No note. Just the doll. Still wearing the tiny crocheted hat I made her when I was 8 months pregnant. I sat on the floor with it in my hands for a long time, trying to decide if it was a threat or a message. Or both. I didn't show it to Maya. I didn't even bring it into the house. I put it back in the box, sealed it, and locked it in the garage. That's when I decided to go back and check something. The box with the torn birth certificate. The original one Caroline ripped. I kept it hidden, wrapped in a towel in the back of my closet. I hadn't looked at it in over a year. When I opened the wooden box, I noticed something I had never seen before. Folded inside, beneath the two halves of the certificate, was a third paper. Not from the state. Not official. A handwritten note. Not mine. Caroline's handwriting. It was dated the same day she ripped the certificate. She'll come back eventually. And when she does, she'll know what name matters. My hands were shaking. I had never seen this note before, which meant someone had gone through my things, either while I was still living in that house or after. I started to wonder, what else had she touched? What else had she left behind? And more importantly, how far were they willing to go? Because this wasn't about a name anymore. This was about control, ownership, erasure. And someone, either Adam or Caroline or both, had gotten into a place I thought was safe. Maybe before I left. Maybe after. I don't know what they're planning next. But I have a feeling it's not over. Not even close. There's one more thing I haven't mentioned yet. About something Maya said last week. Something small, but not small, if you know what I mean. We were in the car. She was quiet. Then she said, "Mom, why did that lady at school call me Maya Bennett?" I almost swerved. I asked her what she meant. She said a woman came into her classroom a few days ago. Said she was helping with yearbook photos. Asked her name. When Maya told her, the woman smiled and said, "Oh, you're Maya Bennett, right?" Maya told her no. That she wasn't. That her name was what she always said it was. But the woman just smiled again and said, "That's okay. Some people just forget where they came from." I asked her what the woman looked like. She shrugged. Just regular. Short hair. Brown jacket. I don't know who it was. But I have a feeling Caroline wasn't working alone anymore. And something tells me they're rewriting more than just names. A week after the yearbook photographer incident, I went to the school. I didn't call. I didn't email. I walked straight into the front office and asked to speak to the principal. They brought me to her office. I explained everything calmly. No yelling. No drama. Just facts. She listened. Then looked through the school's volunteer sign-in sheets. There was no one scheduled for yearbook photos that week. No one had signed in under any photography company. No visitor badge had been issued. Whoever that woman was, she wasn't supposed to be there. The principal promised to check the cameras and review staff communications. She seemed genuinely concerned. I believed her. But I also knew this went deeper than some stranger sneaking into a school. Because the next day, I got a call from my lawyer. "Did you know Adam submitted a petition to change Maya's last name to his?" she asked. I went silent. Apparently, he filed the request 2 weeks ago. He didn't even notify me. He claimed I was unreachable and refusing to cooperate with shared custody arrangements. He submitted character references. One from his boss. One from a family friend. And one, this is what knocked the wind out of me, from my own uncle. Uncle Craig. My dad's brother. I hadn't spoken to him in years. I called my mother. She didn't know anything about the name change request, but she went quiet when I brought up Uncle Craig. Then she said carefully, "He and Adam had lunch a while ago." I didn't think much of it.
Lunch?
I hadn't seen or spoken to Craig in 5 years. We were never close. He was one of those people who smiled through your pain and called it tough love. But I knew why they reached out to him. When I was 19, I had a breakdown. A real one. Emergency room, short-term stay, the whole thing. It was after my dad died, and I was failing out of community college. I got help. I got better. It's part of my history, but it's not who I am anymore. And yet I knew they would dig that up and twist it. Sure enough, my lawyer found the line in Adam's petition. Given the mother's prior psychiatric episode and unstable behavior, the child would benefit from a more secure identity rooted in her paternal family. That's when I understood. This wasn't just about a name. This was about erasing me. They were building a version of me that looked irresponsible, unstable, and irrational. And they were feeding it to anyone who would listen: courts, schools, family. I went into overdrive. I pulled school records, talked to teachers, got letters from Maya's pediatrician, her therapist, my employer. I started building a file. Proof of every stable, consistent, safe thing I'd done for 5 years. And while I was doing that, something strange happened. Maya started waking up with nightmares. At first, it was small things. She'd cry in her sleep, toss around. Then one night, she came into my room shaking. "I saw the lady again," she whispered. I sat up. "What lady?" "The one from school. The one who called me Maya Bennett." I wrapped her in a blanket and asked what she meant. She was standing outside when we were in the cafeteria. She was just standing by the fence. She smiled at me. No teacher saw her. No other kid mentioned it. But Maya saw her. And she remembered her. I checked the school's visitor logs again. Nothing. Cameras? Still under review, they told me. So, I went and bought a dash cam. I started parking across the street during lunch hours, just to watch.
Just to see.
And then one day I saw her. Short hair, brown jacket, standing behind the chain link fence across from the schoolyard. Not moving, just standing still, watching the kids. She didn't take pictures. She didn't wave. She didn't have a phone out. She just stood and stared. I took a picture of her through my car window. My hands were shaking. I went home, pulled up old photos from Facebook. It was Caroline's friend. Not someone I ever knew well, but I recognized her from family barbecues. Her name was Laura or Lorraine, something like that. She was always around, always laughing at Caroline's jokes. I hadn't seen her in years. Until now. Which meant this wasn't just Caroline acting alone. She was sending people, watching us, inserting strangers into Maya's daily life. And now she was trying to flip the story in court, make it look like I was the unstable one. But here's the real twist. 2 nights ago, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line, no message body, just a single attachment, a screenshot. It was a private group chat, a Facebook group. The title was blurred out, but the names were there.
Caroline.
Adam, Laura, 2 others I didn't know. In the chat, Caroline had written, "We can't let her keep that girl forever. It's not right. She's not one of us." And below it, Adam replied, "Just keep the pressure on. She'll slip eventually." No one ever meant for me to see that.
But someone sent it to me.
Someone inside their circle. Someone who's watching them just like they've been watching me. And now I'm wondering, how deep does this go? How far are they willing to push? And who's finally starting to feel guilty enough to turn on them? I'm still collecting pieces. Still trying to put the full picture together. But whatever's coming next, it's not going to be quiet. I knew once I saw that screenshot, something had shifted. Someone from the inside had slipped. Maybe on purpose. Maybe by accident. But it was enough. Enough to confirm everything I had been trying to explain to the court, the school, and even to myself. I wasn't being paranoid. I wasn't overreacting. They were watching me, targeting Maya, planning something. I gave the screenshot to my lawyer. She pushed to have it admitted into the custody hearing. The judge agreed. Adam's face when the judge read his own words aloud. "Just keep the pressure on. She'll slip eventually." He went pale. Caroline, sitting in the back row, stood up and walked out of the courtroom. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt like something was coming undone. Like the fight wasn't over, it was just turning into something else. 3 days later, Maya didn't come out of school at dismissal. I was parked in the usual spot. Her teacher came out with the rest of the class. Maya wasn't with them. I ran into the building. I was halfway down the hall when the vice principal met me, breathless, nervous. She said Maya had been called to the office earlier that afternoon. Someone had called claiming to be me. They said I had a family emergency and Maya needed to be picked up early. But when the school aide went to the front desk to verify the paperwork, the woman was already gone. They didn't release Maya. She was in a side room, crying. Safe, but scared. Security footage showed the same woman again. Laura, Caroline's friend. I went to the police. This time, I didn't just talk. I demanded action. I gave them the screenshots, the photos, the license plate from the dashcam. My lawyer filed an emergency protection order. Not just against Adam, but against Caroline, Laura, and anyone associated with their network. The judge granted it. Full, permanent custody. No visitation. No name change.
I thought maybe that would be the end.
But Adam still had one more move left. One night, 2 weeks after the court ruling, Maya was asleep. I was doing dishes when I heard a knock on the door. I looked through the peephole. It was Adam. He looked like hell. Unshaven. Wet from the rain. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it. "What do you want?" He put his hand on the doorframe and said low, "You win. Just please. Let me see her. One time. I'll leave after. I swear." I said nothing. Then he said something that stopped me cold. "You think you're protecting her, but you're not. You're just turning her into you." I opened the door. Not wide. Just enough to see his face. "I'd rather she turn into me," I said, "than into someone who lets his sister rip up his kid's name and call it love." He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "You know, I always thought you were broken. I thought if I kept quiet, you'd fix yourself. But you didn't. You just got mean." I nodded. "You're right," I said. "I am mean now. And I earned it." Then I shut the door in his face. That was the last time I saw him. Caroline tried to reach out after that. She sent a letter. Long handwritten. No apology. Just more poison wrapped in guilt. She said she missed Maya. That this wasn't supposed to get so ugly. She ended it with, "One day, Maya will want to know why you kept her from us. I hope you're ready to live with that." I wrote one sentence on a sticky note and mailed it back in the same envelope. One day, she'll thank me for it. A year passed. Maya started therapy again.
She's okay now.
Still quiet. Still asking questions sometimes, but stronger. One night she asked if she could see her birth certificate. I brought out the wooden box. The new one. Not the one with the torn pieces. She looked at it, then looked at me. "Why did they want to change my name so bad?" she asked. I told her the truth. "Because your name proved you didn't belong to them." She thought for a second, then said, "But I never did, right?"
No, I said.
"You didn't." She nodded, then said, "Good." It's been 2 years since any of them tried to contact me. Adam never filed another appeal. Caroline deleted all her social media. That group chat?
Shut down.
All of it buried. But I kept everything. The photos. The letters. The screenshots. Even the old torn birth certificate. I had it framed.
The two halves. Side by side.
Still split. Still broken. I hung it in my bedroom. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder of what they tried to take. Of how quiet a person can be when they're planning to survive. And how loud it gets when you finally speak back.